Through the window, the dying star wept molten light over a battlefield of drifting wreckage. Captain Eliana Reyes gripped the cold railing as her pulse pounded with fierce determination and raw grief. Today, every spark of hope might be her last. In that haunted moment, with echoes of lost voices reverberating in the silence of space, she vowed to defy the cosmic despair threatening to swallow humanity whole. An unseen enemy loomed, and survival itself beckoned her to rise. On the bridge of her aging command vessel, the Helios Vanguard, Eliana stood amidst the hum of ancient machinery and the soft beeps of survival monitors. Outside, the Helios fringe stretched in an endless panorama, a vast, uncharted wasteland marked by rogue asteroids, swirling nebulae, and the silent majesty of cosmic anomalies. Every flicker of distant starlight was a memory of a once thriving civilization now reduced to scattered fleets clinging desperately to existence. Eliana's eyes, reflecting the crimson glow of the dying star, were fixed on the horizon. The taste of ozone and the metallic tang of recycled air mingled in the cockpit as she recalled the heavy cost of past battles. Each scar on her weathered uniform and every calculated breath spoke of the countless sacrifices made by those who dared to hope. In that moment, the cold vacuum of space felt almost tangible, a silent enemy against which her crew's collective heart must defy the darkness. Determined and resolute, Captain Reyes initiated the day's protocols with a measured calm that belied the storm raging within her. The crew, their faces lit by the soft luminescence of instrument panels, watched in respectful silence as she reviewed the intelligence reports. Rumors of a new threat, a force intent on obliterating the fragile remains of humanity, had reached even these distant outposts. The fragile hope of survival rested on every decision she made now, with the Helios fringe as both a treacherous adversary and an unlikely sanctuary. In that charged atmosphere, where every distant flash of light and every whispered warning in the static of the comms underscored the precariousness of their existence, Eliana's mind raced with strategies. It was in the quiet moments before chaos erupted that the true battle for humanity's soul was being waged. The fate of her people, scattered among the remnants of a glorious past, depended on the strength of their unity and the unyielding courage of one captain determined to transform despair into defiant hope. A sudden crackle shattered the fragile calm of the bridge. The steady hum of life support and the soft, persistent beep of the navigation systems were interrupted by an urgent transmission, a raw, disjointed signal that pulsed through the comms like a warning heartbeat. "Captain, an unknown transmission. Something's coming." Ensign Marisol's trembling voice cut through the static, sending ripples of alarm across the room. In that charged moment, the air grew thick with tension. Captain Eliana Reyes, still fresh from the weight of yesterday's resolve, felt a shiver of foreboding slither up her spine. Her eyes, reflecting the pale glow of flickering instrument panels, narrowed as she reached for the controls. The screen before her lit up with a series of cryptic coordinates and distorted symbols, an ominous sign that hinted at an approaching menace beyond the Helios fringe's familiar dangers. "Isolate the source," she commanded in a firm, steady tone, her voice belying the rapid thrum of her heartbeat. The bridge crew sprang into action, fingers dancing over panels and scanning the incoming data. Outside, the vast cosmic expanse roiled with restless energy, nebulae shimmered with iridescent hues, and the distant chaos of collapsing stars murmured secrets of an uncertain future. As technicians worked feverishly to decrypt the signal, whispered conversations filled the space between urgent commands and muted alarm. Lieutenant Soren, a steadfast presence at the tactical console, leaned in close and murmured, "The patterns, they're not random. There's intent behind them, a cold precision that speaks of an organized force." His words hung in the air, heavy with the implication of an enemy whose reach extended into the void. The bridge, bathed in the glow of digital readouts, became a theater of conflicting emotions. Fear and determination danced together in the eyes of every crew member. Amidst the calculated chaos, Commander Reyes maintained her unyielding focus. She recalled the fragmented intelligence about Commander Varric Drax, a name spoken with hushed reverence and palpable dread. The notorious alien warlord, known for his ruthless tactics and unrelenting drive for conquest, was a specter that haunted every strategic discussion. Even now, as encrypted messages and garbled signals cascaded across the displays, the possibility of his presence loomed ominously over the Vanguard. "Captain," interjected Navigator Isha with a measured urgency, "the trajectory of the signal aligns with the outer sectors of our perimeter. It's as if it's scouting us, mapping our every move." The room fell silent as the weight of Isha's words sank in. The idea that they were being watched, assessed, and perhaps even hunted by an enemy as formidable as Drax ignited a spark of defiance in the hearts of those present. In the midst of rising tension, Captain Reyes called for a strategic meeting. In the narrow confines of the conference bay, the crew gathered around a holographic display that projected star charts and the ominous path of the unknown vessel. "We have always known that isolation in the fringe came with its perils," Eliana began, her voice both resolute and reflective. "But this is different. It's as if fate has drawn us into the line of fire. We must prepare not only our defenses but our minds, for the enemy is not just out there. They are a calculated force ready to exploit every weakness." Her words resonated deeply with each member of the crew. The room buzzed with a mix of determination and anxiety as they exchanged nods and furtive glances that spoke of personal sacrifices made and those yet to come. Amid the clinical glow of the digital display, the human spirit, resilient and indomitable, seemed to pulse with renewed vigor. Outside, the silence of space was punctuated by the distant echoes of impending conflict. Every sensor beep, every faint signal in the background, now carried the weight of a looming storm. The once gentle cadence of routine was replaced by the dissonant symphony of survival, a prelude to a confrontation that could decide the fate of the scattered remnants of humanity. As the crew resumed their stations with renewed urgency, Captain Reyes' mind raced with strategic possibilities and stark reminders of the sacrifices demanded by such turbulent times. The signal, still unresolved, was not merely a harbinger of danger, it was a call to arms, a siren song that awakened the dormant courage within every soul aboard the Helios Vanguard. In that critical moment, as the approaching storm whispered its dark promise through the void, every heartbeat in the ship echoed one undeniable truth: the battle for survival had truly begun. In the hushed confines of the Vanguard strategy room, the air pulsed with a renewed sense of urgency and unity. Soft, ambient lights bathed the room in a warm glow, reflecting off panels scarred by past battles, while a holographic star map hovered in midair, its brilliant constellations dancing around the tiny, scattered fleet markers. The room was filled with the subdued murmur of whispered conversations and the determined tapping of fingers on touchscreens, a symphony of resilience. Captain Eliana Reyes stood at the helm of the display, her eyes scanning the intricate web of potential maneuvers. The hologram shifted with her gestures, outlining possible paths through asteroid belts and nebular veils that could cloak their fleet from enemy detection. "We may be few," she began, her voice steady yet charged with an unyielding fire, "but we carry the spark of humanity that no empire can extinguish." Her words resonated through the room like a battle cry, igniting hope in every crew member's heart. Around her, the crew, composed of veterans and hopeful recruits alike, gathered close in a circle of solidarity. Lieutenant Soren manipulated the hologram with expert precision, overlaying tactical grids and enemy patrol routes derived from salvaged intelligence. "Our cloaking devices, though makeshift, have saved us before," he noted, his fingers deftly adjusting virtual panels. "We'll use the natural cover of the Helios fringe to our advantage, weaving through cosmic debris and utilizing guerrilla tactics to turn our perceived weakness into a strategic force." In the background, Ensign Marisol meticulously calibrated an array of repurposed sensors, each device patched together from relics of fallen empires. The metallic clink of her tools mixed with the soft hum of energy fields, creating a rhythmic backdrop to the planning session. As she worked, she recalled moments of loss, faded photographs of loved ones and memorials for comrades lost in earlier skirmishes, which spurred her to contribute every ounce of her skill to protect the fragile human spark. Between the technical assessments and tactical debates, there were moments of camaraderie that softened the harshness of their reality. A brief, bittersweet exchange between two crew members over a shared rations container reminded everyone of the warmth of human connection. In a rare pause, laughter broke out, nervous but sincere, a gentle defiance against the overwhelming darkness encroaching from outside. Captain Reyes surveyed the room with a mixture of steely resolve and empathetic understanding. Every scarred face, every tired yet determined gaze, mirrored her own inner battles and unwavering hope. "We stand not as isolated survivors, but as a united front," she declared, her voice echoing across the room. "Each ship in our fleet may be small, but together, we form an unbreakable chain, a lifeline for humanity in the vast, indifferent void." As plans solidified and strategies took shape, the crew dispersed to their stations with renewed purpose. The Vanguard's corridors filled with the deliberate footsteps of individuals prepared to execute their roles in this grand, high-stakes dance of survival. Outside, the cosmic ballet of swirling starlight and drifting debris continued unabated, a stark reminder of both the peril and the beauty of the universe they inhabited. In that decisive moment, with the echoes of Eliana's rallying words still resonating, the tiny fleet embraced their destiny. They were the embodiment of human ingenuity and spirit, small yet resolute, fragile yet defiant, ready to transform scorn into the catalyst for an extraordinary stand against the looming storm. The silence of the cosmos was shattered by a burst of light, searing beams slicing through the dark void like fiery blades. In an instant, the tranquility of space transformed into a frenetic dance of destruction. The Helios Vanguard and its companion ships, hidden amid the cosmic debris, suddenly found themselves thrust into the chaos of battle. The glimmering hulls of enemy scouts emerged from the inky black, their outlines distorted by rapid maneuvers as they closed in. Amid the interstellar echoes of energy discharges, every sensor beep and fractured radio transmission signaled that survival was a fleeting chance. On the bridge, Captain Eliana Reyes stood poised, her eyes flaring with a mix of steely resolve and acute focus. "All hands, battle stations," she commanded, her voice slicing through the comms with unwavering authority. The crew responded in a flurry of coordinated movements, each officer a vital cog in the well-oiled machine of desperate resistance. Lieutenant Soren's fingers danced over the tactical interface, mapping the enemy's erratic paths, while Ensign Marisol's hands trembled ever so slightly as she recalibrated the ship's defensive arrays. In the sudden onslaught, the rhythmic pulse of the ship's engines harmonized with the rapid-fire clatter of emergency protocols, creating a symphony of war in the cold vacuum. Outside, the theater of battle unfolded in breathtaking detail. Laser beams crisscrossed the darkness, leaving trails of ephemeral brilliance that illuminated the jagged silhouettes of asteroids in the distant glow of dying stars. One enemy fighter, its metallic skin scarred by previous encounters, darted toward the Vanguard with lethal intent. As it unleashed a salvo of energy bolts, the ship's hull trembled under the impact. Each hit a thunderous reminder of the enemy's ferocity. The void, usually a realm of stillness, now roared with the palpable tension of clashing wills. In a desperate maneuver, Captain Reyes ordered the fleet into a tight formation, using the gravitational shadows of nearby space rocks to hide their movements. "Keep tight, and let's make every second count," she urged over the crackling comm, her voice carrying the weight of countless battles fought and won. Amid the swirling maelstrom of conflict, brief moments of clarity shone through the haze of combat. A fleeting exchange on the comms between two crew members, their voices raw and determined, underscored the human element amidst the mechanized violence. "We're not just surviving. We're fighting for every memory, every lost smile. Each spark of light out there is a promise. We will not be forgotten." These words, whispered in the midst of chaos, resonated deeply with every soul aboard the Vanguard. The enemy, relentless and calculating, had underestimated the resilience forged in the crucible of human experience. As the skirmish wore on, the human fleet's resourcefulness began to turn the tide. Clever evasive tactics and precise countermeasures started to carve gaps in the enemy's formations. The once overwhelming barrage gradually became a series of coordinated defenses, a ballet of survival against an ever-encroaching threat. In that precarious dance between life and oblivion, every moment was a battle won against the oppressive silence of space. The star-strewn void, witness to millennia of cosmic history, now bore silent testimony to the indomitable spirit of those who dared to defy fate. With each calculated dodge, each defiant burst of laser fire, the crew of the Vanguard reaffirmed their commitment to the fragile hope that flickered within them. In the midst of exploding energy and the shattered remnants of enemy drones, the first skirmishes in the void were not just a clash of steel and light, they were the stirring of an uprising, the heartbeat of humanity echoing in the vast, indifferent darkness. The battle's relentless cadence began to change, the once unyielding barrage of enemy fire now punctuated by moments of uncanny, calculated counterattacks from the tiny fleet. Amid the shattered remnants of enemy drones and the fractured glow of distant explosions, an unmistakable shift was in the air, a murmur of hope stirring in the hearts of the defenders. In the control room, the digital star map pulsed with renewed vibrancy. Lieutenant Soren's steady hands traced routes across the holographic interface, highlighting corridors where enemy formations faltered. "Look at these gaps," he noted, voice low but laced with excitement. "They're adapting to our maneuvers, and we're exploiting it." The revelation was simple yet profound. Every well-timed maneuver and every sacrifice was chipping away at the enemy's aura of invincibility. Elsewhere, a cold, intercepted communication crackled through the static, a dispatch from Commander Varric Drax himself. His words were chillingly measured, laced with the confidence of a force that had never been questioned. "Regroup and maintain formation. We must not allow them to fracture our lines, his voice intoned, echoing the ruthless precision of a master strategist. Yet, in that same moment, Captain Eliana Reyes, standing firm at the helm, sent out a rallying transmission that cut through the enemy's cold rhetoric like a beacon in darkness. Our strength lies not in numbers, but in our unbreakable will. We fight not for conquest, but for every soul that calls this fragile beacon of humanity home. The duality of these messages, the calculated calm of Drax versus the fiery passion of Eliana, resonated deeply within every member of the fleet. In the dim glow of the ship's corridors, as crew members wiped away grime and fatigue with weathered hands, their eyes burned with the embers of defiance. Conversations hushed to reverent whispers as they recalled the sacrifices of comrades who had fallen in earlier skirmishes, each loss transforming into a spark of resolve that ignited new tactics and strategies. Deep within the Vanguard's engine room, the sound of metal and machinery melded with the rhythmic thrum of the ship's core. Inside Marisol, now more confident than ever, recalibrated sensors to track the enemy's movements. Every beep and every flicker of the monitor was a promise, a reminder that despite the overwhelming odds, humanity was still a force to be reckoned with. Her determined eyes, reflecting both the harsh light of the instruments and the softer glow of hope, conveyed the unspoken message: they would not be subdued. The ideological battle was as palpable as the physical one. In private moments, crew members shared stories of what it meant to be human, the taste of a home-cooked meal, the warmth of an embrace, the laughter of children, and each recollection deepened their commitment to defy the tyrannical designs of an enemy that saw them as mere obstacles. These whispered memories filled the halls of the Vanguard, transforming every compartment into a sanctuary of resilience where the human spirit reigned supreme. Outside, the cosmos itself bore witness to the uprising. Amid swirling nebulae and a scattering of starlight, the Vanguard and its allied ships danced their defiant ballet, every maneuver a testament to the collective will of those aboard. In the cacophony of clashing energies and the silence that followed each burst of counterfire, the echoes of defiance grew louder, heralding the dawn of a turning tide, a tide that promised not only survival but the rebirth of hope in the midst of cosmic chaos. The Vanguard and its allied ships hurtled toward the maw of a cosmic anomaly, a swirling vortex of incandescent plasma and gravitational turbulence that churned like a living beast at the edge of a collapsing star. The void trembled with the raw power of the anomaly. Every flash of unstable energy cast fractured shadows across the fleet. The air, or rather, the vacuum of space, seemed to vibrate with the ferocity of impending conflict, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. In the midst of this celestial chaos, the human fleet surged forward with a daring resolve. Engines roared and thrusters flared in a dazzling display of coordinated maneuvers. Captain Eliana Reyes, standing resolute at the helm of the Vanguard, issued her orders with a voice that was both fierce and unwavering. Engage all forward batteries. Target the flagship. No hesitation. Her words sliced through the comms, merging with the clamor of energy discharges and the relentless hum of ship systems. As the Vanguard closed in on Commander Varric Drax's massive vessel, a cold, calculated interstellar warship bristling with advanced weaponry, the clash of titanic forces began. Explosions erupted like supernovae across the battlefield, each detonation sending shockwaves that rippled through the fragile fabric of space. Laser fire crisscrossed the void, their brilliant trails illuminating the swirling debris and the tumultuous glow of the anomaly. The air was filled with the metallic scent of ionized particles and the palpable heat of burning plasma, a sensory overload that embodied the very essence of war. Amid the cacophony, a direct channel opened between Captain Reyes and Commander Drax. His voice, icy and precise, reverberated across the tumult. You dare challenge the might of an empire on the brink of perfection? Surrender, and be spared the agony of annihilation. His words, as lethal as the weapons he commanded, carried the weight of a tyrant's conviction. Eliana's response was a thunderous counterpoint, resonating with the fierce spirit of defiance. We fight not for glory or conquest, but for the very soul of humanity. Your empire may crush worlds, but it can never extinguish the fire of hope. Her voice, echoing over the violent tumult of battle, cut through the static with raw, emotional power. In that charged moment, their words collided like supernovae, encapsulating the age-old struggle between despotism and the indomitable will to be free. Every heartbeat on the Vanguard and its companion ships seemed to synchronize with the explosive rhythm of battle. Crew members manned their stations with a blend of adrenaline and unwavering focus. Lieutenant Soren's fingers danced across tactical interfaces as he recalibrated defenses against the relentless barrage from Drax's fleet. Ensign Marisol's precise adjustments to the shields held the line against the storm of plasma bolts and shrapnel, her determined gaze reflecting the fiery resolve of every soul aboard. Outside, the anomaly roared with unrestrained fury, its swirling energies threatening to engulf everything in its path. Yet, even as gravitational distortions and bursts of radiant energy battered the human vessels, the tiny fleet pressed forward with a unity born of shared sacrifice and hope. The once distant threat of Commander Drax now loomed as a tangible enemy, his colossal ship straining against the defiant might of those he had deemed insignificant. In the eye of the cosmic storm, where the boundary between life and oblivion blurred, every decision carried monumental stakes. The clash reached a fevered pitch as a massive explosion rocked the battlefield, a violent release of pent-up energy that illuminated the void in a transient, surreal brilliance. In that fleeting instant, the battle's outcome seemed poised on a knife edge, every soul aboard the Vanguard holding its breath. The dialogue between captain and commander, laden with ideological fervor and personal vendettas, melded with the roar of combat. Drax's cold, calculated commands and Eliana's impassioned retorts intertwined with the fierce symphony of laser fire and exploding star matter. It was a battle not just for territory or power, but for the very identity of a people, a crucible where the fragile spark of humanity was being tested against the overwhelming force of tyranny. As the final moments of the confrontation unfolded, the edge of the anomaly became both battlefield and judge. The human fleet's coordinated assaults and desperate maneuvers converged in a climactic crescendo, where victory and defeat intermingled in a dance as ancient as the stars. In that moment, as the echo of battle reached its zenith, the fate of countless souls hung in the balance, a testament to the enduring courage of those who dared to defy the void and reclaim their destiny. The battered hulls of the Helios Vanguard and its allied ships drifted in the aftermath of the cataclysmic battle, their once bright lights now subdued yet still pulsing with a resilient glow. Amid swirling cosmic dust and the silent fragments of shattered enemy vessels, a solemn peace had replaced the chaos of war. The Helios fringe, scarred but enduring, now bore witness to the tender emergence of hope from the ashes of destruction. Inside the command deck, Captain Eliana Reyes stood before a panoramic viewport, her gaze fixed on the sprawling canvas of starlight and debris. Every mark upon the ship's weathered exterior spoke of sacrifice and valor, a silent testament to the lives given in the struggle for survival. The soft hum of emergency systems and the distant, rhythmic crackle of cooling machinery lent the space a reflective, almost meditative quality. Crew members moved purposefully among the stations, repairing damaged systems and comforting one another, united by an unspoken pledge to rebuild what had been lost. In the dim corridors of the vessel, a makeshift memorial had been assembled. Flickering holograms displayed the faces of fallen comrades, and personal mementos, tattered photographs, handwritten notes, and tokens of love were arranged with tender care. Lieutenant Soren gathered his team in a quiet alcove, his voice steady yet imbued with sorrow and resolve. "Today, we honor the memory of every soul we lost," he murmured, "and we carry their light forward. Our unity is the spark that will kindle a new beginning." His words, echoing softly through the metal walls, stirred a collective promise to persevere. Outside, the cosmic tableau began to transform. The once violent anomaly, now a fading tempest, gave way to a serene expanse where distant quasars shimmered like beacons of renewal. Ensign Marisol, still at her station and scanning the starlit horizon, noted with quiet wonder how even the harsh light of a dying nebula seemed to celebrate the human spirit's relentless drive to endure. The scattered debris arranged itself in patterns that recalled ancient constellations, as if the universe itself was drawing maps of remembrance and hope. As if in a final gesture of solidarity, the surviving ships converged to form a protective circle around the Vanguard. The soft murmur of coordinated communications filled the air, a hushed symphony that spoke of unity and the shared dream of tomorrow. Standing before her crew one last time, Captain Reyes' voice rang out with a blend of gentle sorrow and fierce determination. "We have been forged in the fires of conflict, yet here we stand, unbroken and resolute. Let the embers of our courage ignite a future where our legacy endures among the stars. We rise together." In that quiet, reflective moment, as the first gentle rays of a renewed cosmic dawn began to pierce the darkness, every soul aboard the Vanguard felt the stirring of a new beginning. The scars of battle were indelible, but they also mapped the journey of a people united by hope and determination. Amid the lingering silence, the embers of defiance and renewal glowed ever brighter, a promise that from this crucible of loss, humanity would rise once more.